Welcome to the Pro Talk Podcast. This is season 1, where home service entrepreneurs tell their stories and share advice for winning in their communities. This podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, software that tens of thousands of home service professionals use daily in over a dozen industries, including HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. The app is easy to use and helps you and your employees deliver a 5-star experience to your customers every time. To learn more, go to housecallpro.com/podcast. Today's episode is our final with Brandon Stowe of Cracker Jack Appliance Repair. Brandon talks over marketing strategies available to pros and how software allows you to build a process for running your company in a consistent and repeatable way. Check out past episodes of this interview and any other of the Pro Talk podcast on iTunes or YouTube.
When it comes to the marketing strategies, pros can get really overwhelmed because, like you say, there's so many different ways, right? I mean, people would do it on, there's Craigslist and you're making phone calls and networking. What would be a great place for some of our pros to start when it comes to marketing?
Yeah, so marketing can start very easily. If you go online to Facebook, right, and this is free, you can go and you can join groups, buy and sell groups in your local community. And those groups are, worth their weight in gold to a growing entrepreneur who started a service business, because it's no problem to go into a program like Photoshop or Paint, make a really quick ad, and then throw it up and post it to 10 different groups. We have gotten hundreds and hundreds of calls over the years by doing that. And the other thing is we watch the groups. We watch them and we respond, because in these community groups, in Seattle, for instance, there's a group called Snohomies. It's a little group for Snohomish County, and the group is so community based. Anytime anybody needs a contractor or a builder, they go there first. It's better than Craigslist. They go there and they say, "Hey guys, who do you use?" We monitor that. We look at those groups. It's easy to do. It's free. And when those people pose the question, you can search the groups daily to see how many people have posed the question. We simply comment and say, "Hey, how are these people?" And we link ourselves. We link our page. We link our website. Whatever. I have found that is invaluable. You have to watch, because it is a community website. So it's the good, bad, and the ugly. So if you're not providing a top-notch service and you don't, you can't back up your word, you're going to get that bad review the next week, but if
the opinions,
right. It's one of those things where you underpromise and overdeliver in those services, especially when you're still building your systems and you're working things out. You're in those early stages of growth. There are hiccups, there are growing pains that you go through. So the biggest advice I could give is definitely underpromise at that time and then overdeliver. Give larger time frame windows of arrival. Don't say that you'll be Johnny on the spot at 4 p.m. if you realistically know that the arrival window is 4 to 6. You can be candid with your customers and give them the real picture. And then when you arrive Johnny on the spot at 4, all of a sudden that's a surge in their environment of how they feel about you. And you kind of create a butterfly effect. And that starts from the moment that they call or that they engage with you for your services. If you do what you say with the schedule, you follow up by arriving on time, then you do a good job and there's not a call back, then it really creates an environment for the customer to where trust is built. And that's just one call at a time. After you get a bunch of customers where trust is built, they start recommending and reviewing you by themselves. Because you're engaged in a community like that, you're the tossed around name. And so that's when you really start seeing value out of those communities. That's free. You can do that for free.
Facebook,
free. Facebook is free. Being socially engaged with your community is the best form of free advertising you can have, other than the small amount of time you put into it, of course. There's a cost to that. But considering the actual cost of investment, it's as good as it gets. I've watched people build $5 million businesses just off of engaging the community, networking with the people, joining the local business clubs, the Chamber of Commerce, engaging with the businesses, B2B if they serve other businesses, going to the chamber meetings, and just being present all the time. And that just takes gas in your car to get there, and a little bit of coming out of your comfort zone, meeting people, shaking hands, and if you can master that, then you're pretty self-sufficient on the growth aspect.
Nice.
Yeah, the rest comes after.
Just kind of, right. So you're saying, hey, focus on these two things.
Right.
Social engagement by way of Facebook,
right.
which is super simple, super easy. though you have to back up your word,
Right.
and do what you say that you're going to do, and then engage, right, in the conversation, and then networking.
Right.
Have you ever been to any of our Housecall Pro meetups?
I'll be at one tomorrow.
Hey,
Yep,
so
I'll be here.
what have you heard about it?
Yeah, so not much really. I got the email invite, to be totally honest. I've been pretty busy, but I got the email invite, and actually our lead tech got the email invite as well through his app, and he came up to me and he said, "Hey, you going to go to this thing? I think I'd like to go." And I said, "Sure, if you're going, I'll go." And it really didn't cross my mind, so we signed up, and I've heard that it's a great networking opportunity. I heard that a lot of pros attend, and that it really becomes a mastermind in its own right. So I'm excited to be there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't beat free drinks,
Right.
Networking with other pros that are just like you in different industries, right? So there's a great opportunity to pass work within a trusted community, right? Because if an electrician has someone that they're helping and they're looking for a plumber, then hey, I have a friend who's a plumber that's part of the Housecall Pro network group. And the thing about it, and I just want to highlight this too for those of you that are listening, is that it's not just for people that are using it's not just for pros that are using Housecall Pro.
Right.
It's actually open to all pros, because we believe that we really just want to add value, and you learn from one another. They happen actually all across the nation, different cities.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, different chapters all across the nation, and they meet for about an hour and a half, free food, free drinks, and then there's like a teaching, and then there's networking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to actually make the event in Seattle this last, I think it was in June or July or something. There was an event in Seattle.
Yeah, the mastermind.
Yeah, the mastermind, absolutely. And so I actually had a ticket to that, and I wasn't a pro yet. It was one of those instances that you were talking about. In fact, I was.
You weren't a part of Housecall Pro.
I wasn't a part of Housecall Pro.
Oh.
Yeah, excuse me. I wasn't a part of Housecall Pro. I was a pro, but one of my friends who uses the platform, Sam, who owns M&P Heating in Oregon, in Portland, he had invited me. And so we were going to go check it out at that time. I did miss that one, but I got to tell you, it got me interested, hearing his testimonial about the platform and how he uses it, showing me screenshots of his system and how it's organized. I'm no stranger. I don't know if you know this about my history, but I'm no stranger to CRM platforms. I've had several mechanical businesses in Washington and in Oregon, and we've used all the different platforms you can imagine. We went to Capterra back when that was the place where you went to find platforms, and we started on a very old software called Quantrack, and this was a half paper, half office solution. It didn't have a cloud base. It didn't have technician mobile app or anything like that. There was no GPS tracking. This was back in 2010, 2011, when I was on a platform like this, and I operated a company at the time, and it was a $20 million company. Wow. And we had a huge paper burden, and so in 2013, I went and looked at like the SaaS type software solutions. Yeah, exactly. And so we looked at those. We did Desco, because at the time Desco, the desktop edition, before it became Field Edge and all these other programs, we integrated into that. We integrated into softwares like Service Fusion, Service Titan, and what I've found with Housecall Pro, and you'll see it online all the time if you're in any of the groups, the Housecall Pro groups, that is. That Housecall Pro can do, roughly 90% of what the very lead premier software does for a tenth of the price. A tenth of the price, and 90% of what the lead software does, and we're talking about the software that $100 million companies use, is unparalleled in value. So if you're running a company that's $700,000 a year, if you're running a company that's $10 million a year, Housecall Pro delivers a value to that customer that I don't think that these companies are going to find anywhere else. It's just frankly not there for what they'll pay with these big softwares that are just unaffordable at that level of business. So I think it really is the best value that you can have right now today on the market in software. We decided to put Crackerjack on Housecall Pro for a very simple reason, and that's because the community here, the support, the service, the people, the engagement, it's got a real feeling. And when I put my money somewhere, I want to put it in a place where I feel that I'm going to be very supported, that I'm going to be able to do things like this, come to a place and just sit down and chat with the guys and have my questions answered. We run at a fast pace. We're a very aggressive growth company. All my companies have been that way. We grow very fast. Our projected income for this year is right at about $6 million. Mm-hmm. We started January 1 for Cracker Jack here in San Diego. Our cash flow analysis is working out on target so far. And by the time we launch the rest of our brands, we should be, huge the year after. Our second year cash flow analysis will be double that. The idea of that much growth is that we have to have a platform behind it that can handle it, that can scale with it. In my talks with the fellas here at Housecall Pro, I was pretty certain that was going to be the case. So we signed up for the XL plan, and that's the highest plan right now that's currently offered on Housecall Pro software. So we did that. We went for the Gusto. We started out on XL with zero anything and started it there. And so I would recommend that. I thought that was a great move on our part. We didn't wait till we were a $2 million company or a $5 million company. We went right for it because we figured the reporting section of it, the analytics that they give, would pay back in dividends, and be of value more than what the cost of the program costs us per month, and so we did that. It's been a great move so far. So, loving the software. Like I said, I'm no stranger to the software. I've been on all of them. And right now, Housecall Pro is the one that I'm most excited about.
I'm curious to hear some of the features that happen to be your favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reporting section, obviously I'm an analytics guy. I live and die by the numbers. There's not a number in our company that I don't watch or manage. So we set KPIs. That stands for key performance indicators. And so these KPIs are our targets in every division and every subdivision and divided down to our daily performance by our technicians, what our parts cost, everything. So we have a target for almost every facet of our company. With the reporting features and the ability to export to the spreadsheets where we have some of our own back-end reporting measures as well, we're easily able to keep a finger tap on the company at all times. And the real-time reporting just really gives us day-to-day decision-making power that otherwise we might have to wait till the quarter is over or the month is over and do the paperwork and compile the QuickBooks and make sure all the bills have paid first. And so we're really able to get in there and say, okay, our average ticket is, in appliance, for instance, our average ticket goal is $221 right now. And so to make that average ticket, when I bought the company back in November, we had an average ticket of $90 once we got everything transferred over into the Housecall Pro system. They weren't able to visualize that before. They didn't know how to compute that. They would have had to add up all the tickets. They would have had to do a lot of manual labor to get that far. And then they would have had to do some division and figure it out, but they didn't, so they didn't know where their average ticket was. To run a healthy company in appliances here in San Diego, you need to hit a $221 average ticket. That's just where it is for our business and for what we spend in advertising and what our overhead is and stuff. Our technicians have to go out to manage that business and make $221 average ticket. And so when we were able to see that and visualize that in the reporting of the system, of the software of Housecall Pro, I was able to give training on it. And you can teach what you know. You can train on where there's deficiencies. Other than that, you're just aiming in the dark and you're hoping something catches.
Right.
So we go through and we set up the expectation with the technician, like this is what you need to hit. And they can see it. They can see their average ticket. We put it up there on the TV. And so they can walk in the office in the morning and they know what their average call ticket is. And they can see what, John's average call ticket is and what Marcus's average call ticket is. And they can kind of compare, and it creates a little bit of a competition environment as well. I think that has helped to get to that number. So today we're at that number and we're starting to exceed it. And that's because of the reporting. So when you think about the cost of the program versus what you didn't have before, if we were on that $90 average ticket versus the $221, well, that's more in loss than what we pay for the platform itself, per month. So we've already made back a surplus on having this program. So actually it's cost us nothing. It's made us money, so that's a really important feature, being able to study what you're doing, look at your internal metrics. And then the ease of scheduling. Obviously, the workflow for being able to take a call and quickly turn it into a scheduled event for our technicians is paramount, because we're a fast-paced environment, like I said. So if our dispatch is answering the phone all day long, they're going to be pretty much busy answering the phone. We want to reduce that call time for each time the phone rings, and that way they can schedule more in the day. That way they don't miss calls. That way nothing's dropped. That way we don't have to. What really would happen is hire another person, to take the overflow, because we're not going to let calls drop. So we'd have to hire another person. So this program actually lets us do the dispatching work, much quicker, which lowers our overhead burden. We can set the schedule, the follow-up. We can send the review requests to the customer after the job is done. That helps our online reputation and really helps the calls flow in the door. Because when we pay for services like Angie's List and Yelp, when we pay for Google advertising and stuff, that helps get the customer to see us. But then they instantly look at the reviews. They instantly see if we're a 5-star company or a 2-star company, and so when a review request hits them after the job is done, and the training that we give our technicians is that they are also, letting the customer know that the review request is coming, and to write an honest review. Mm-hmm. And it's just a 2-minute stint of time that they take at the end of each call and say, hey, by the way, when the call closes today, you're going to get a text message. It might come in just as soon as I press this button. If you could follow the instructions on the text message, if you want to leave us a review today, tell us about your service, good or bad or ugly, whatever, we'd love for you to take that time. We appreciate your feedback. Just a very simple message. And that has spiked our reviews significantly. Now we get, a few a day. And that's at a company that started January the 1st. I see companies that are, 4, 5, 6 years old, and they have 3 reviews listed on Google and 1 review listed on Yelp. The problem is if one of those reviews turns bad, that takes them down, quite a few stars, because they're averaging, right? So we need to have lots of good reviews. That way when the bad one comes in, we're still a stellar looking company. And it also gives people a more realistic look, honestly, a better window into what our company is, because everybody wants to go onto a platform when they have a problem, right? When there's a bad review to write, it's easy to think, okay, I'm gonna go onto Yelp. I've done it myself. Anytime I write way more bad reviews than I write good reviews, because nobody prompts me to write good reviews.
Right.
But when a company miffs me, when they do something wrong, and I want to let the public know, I'm a self-starter. I do that on my own,
right.
And we're programmed to do that, right? Because we want other people to not suffer the same
experiences.
Right, exactly. We're out there for the community. We're putting the word out, like, hey, don't hire these guys.
Don't go there.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but often that if a company's not actually engaging with their customers to get constant feedback, what ends up happening is you get a skewed view of how that company actually is. Because if they're not asking for reviews, or at least asking for people to be honest and give them feedback, whether it's good or bad, and let their reputation serve, let what they do in the house be the catalyst for that review. You're not asking them to leave a 5-star review. You're just asking them to put honest feedback there. I think that's really important, because if that doesn't happen, that 1-star review that came in shows everybody that you have a 1-star company. That just may not be the case.
Right.
But you don't have a system to help you with it. Housecall Pro gets you there because it's automatic. You don't have to you don't have to mess with it as much. You don't have to constantly send out email campaigns. You can drop your constant contact subscription, or keep it for other marketing, but you can really be independent and still garner the reviews. One-man shop, like we talked about earlier, they're busy,
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that. They can't even take a vacation. To have them also make sure reviews are coming in, and to have them also make sure all the billing goes out properly, to make sure that they're selling the maintenance agreements, and then to make sure that the maintenance agreements are coming in on time and that they're not forgetting about them. If they didn't have a software like Housecall Pro, none of that would simply exist for them. They're far too busy, and so that really takes a huge load off of their shoulders. And I think it really empowers more independent providers, one-man operations, one-woman operations to thrive today. We have more competition from one-man shops than we ever have before, because software like this empowers these people to offer a 5-star service that's equivalent to a bigger shop, a much bigger shop. because it automates the systems for them. I think that's brilliant because, there's a piece of the pie out there for everybody. Someone in the realm that I'm in where we're going, multi-service, multi-trade, multi-truck, multi-building, when we're in this atmosphere, we exist on our own. We don't get interfered with by one-man shops. One-man shops now don't get interfered with by people like us either. So it kind of levels the playing field for them because they can go out and offer the same quality of service. I hope that we offer a higher quality service if they're my competition, but they can go out and they can offer just as quality a service as we can, and it enables them to grow. So, that's the other step that I guess I could have said earlier that they can take is having a CRM like this, having a process, a consumer relations management system, gives you a lot of the tools you already, you didn't know you have, and you don't know what you don't know. So, when you get into it and you start seeing how easy it makes things, I think that's where a lot of growth can happen as well as, going onto the Facebook and engaging your community.
Thanks for catching this episode of the Pro Talk podcast. Make sure to subscribe to get notified when future episodes come out. And if you're listening on an iPhone, please leave a quick review on the Apple Podcast app. Watching on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe below.